How much RTR is in your Rizzler? Let's get specific. Now I'm sure you can spot some of the similarities between these two bikes. There is some RTR in this Rizzler, but exactly how much? They are based on the same drivetrain, but the Rizzler is a completely different bike. So let's get specific and see what the differences are. Let's start, first things first, with the frame. It has been tried and true on the ETM RTR. It has motocross geometry and has a perfect size for a bike like the Rizzler or other pit bikes. And because we wanted to keep a lot of the drivetrain components and as many parts as possible compatible between these two bikes, they do share a lot in common. But the Rizzler frame is different than the RTR frame. You can actually see it here, how much different it is. And if we took these plastics off, you would really see the difference. But through the head tube area, it's very different. Up through here, it's also very different and allowed for that bigger seat or more cushier seat, totally different latch mechanism for said seat. You can also see that the subframe between these two is totally different. Same reason, we need to accommodate that seat, that storage compartment, and the style of the bike. They're based on the same frame. They use the same battery and the same hold down mechanism for the battery. And although they're different, the Rizzler inherited all the best qualities from the ETM RTR chassis. Not only is the subframe and the frame different on these bikes, the swingers are different on these two bikes. And you can see that on the ETM RTR, it is a motocross inspired design, CNC axle blocks, it's long, it has that thick design that we're used to seeing. You have a longer shock, and that's in order to keep the geometry and the stability of this type of bike in check and make sure we have proper performance. Now, if we look over at the Rizzler, we can see that if we were to try to do a swing arm style like that, it'd look pretty goofy because it'd need to be very short, and that just wouldn't look right. You have a shorter shock. In order to solve that, we made a tubular setup, which still has the same axle blocks. It has stump peg mounts, and it has that little mud flap. We love tube chassis, steel is real, and we think that this turned out really cool. One more cool thing that I want to point out about the frame and swing arm situation between these two bikes is that on the Rizzler, we made the frame mount exactly the same distance as the RTR, which means you can put the RTR swinger on your Rizzler. Now, you wouldn't do that in itself because it'd be too long and kind of goofy like I mentioned before, but that's not the only thing we made the same. We made the head tubes the same, so that means you could take the RTR triple clamps and fork setup off of an RTR and put it on a Rizzler. That combined with the RTR swing arm, you're going to end up with something more along the lines of a street tracker. So these bikes are interchangeable in some regard, and that is with the swing arm and the triple clamps, and that means you can really make a hybrid between the two, and that's just one of the cool things that we focused on when we were talking about parts compatibility and exchangeability. Honestly, I've never even put one of these together like this other than in CAD. I'm thinking you're gonna get like a street tracker, you know, like a bobber style. I'd really love to see somebody make a bobber Rizzler, so please start bobbing. ENC currently makes two high quality 70-75 handlebars, the low and the high. The RTR comes with low bars because in a motocross situation, you want to be bent over in the attack position, and that's the natural riding position. Now, a lot of people put high bars on the RTR, me included, to give more room and more comfortability when riding. The Rizzler is that type of bike. You want more room and more comfortability, so it comes from the factory with high bars spec'd on this machine. That's not the only difference you're going to see on the bars. You'll see that the brakes are totally different on the Rizzler compared to the RTR. Now, they're a mineral oil based system. They're a little bit smaller, but they're extremely sensitive and very bitey on these 6-inch rims, which is kind of crazy to think about, but the tire is very fat, right? The Rizzler's almost equivalent to like a 10-inch Supermoto, but just a different rim and tire combo. Point is, these brakes are more than adequate for these little wheels. They're really sensitive and they're great for wheelies, where the RTR has a more brake fade resistant setup with a larger master and caliper. There is a key difference there. They're different brakes, and the Rizzler are wheelie ready and the RTR is moto ready. I mentioned to you the 6-inch wheels on the Rizzler, which sounds crazy, but with this big fat tire, it actually works out really nicely. It's very standard in the mini bike world, so nothing out of the ordinary here. They're plush, they ride smooth and inspire confidence at low speeds or on slick surfaces, versus a RTR, which has a staggered motocross style wheel setup with the bigger front tire, narrower, and really just bitey, built for agility utility and maximum performance in off-road situations, whereas with the mini bike, they're more of an all-terrain, all-utility purpose type machine, and that's what these wheels and tires provide. They give you that all-terrain, all-purpose use with comfort and stability. One thing that the Rizzler has that the RTR simply does not have is under-seat storage. So if we pop this seat off, you can see that you have a storage compartment, and right now I have a foot peg for stunts. Now there's a mount on your swing arm like I mentioned before for your stunt pegs. Those are something you buy separately on the ENC website. And along with that, we have this stunt peg bar on the back for your foot. So you can do all kinds of combos between this and the stunt peg mounts that I could never do. So send us some videos so we can show what this thing is really capable of with someone that has some talent. Let's not forget that the Rizzler comes with a headlight and a tail light, which the ETM RTR does not. This is perfect for if you're riding at night, campgrounds, that kind of thing. You can stay visible, and the taillight is active with the new braking system on the Rizzler. Let's talk about some things that are fully compatible between these two bikes and are the same. The drivetrain. The drivetrain is the same between the ETM RTR Lite and the Rizzler. They're both 5,000 watts, they both use the same controller and motor, and they both share the same battery compartment. That means batteries from the RTR can fit in the Rizzler and vice versa. The 35 amp hour mod pack, the 45 amp hour mod pack all fit in the Rizzler. The 60 volt from the Rizzler fits in the RTR. They're all cross compatible. That includes the motors and the controller. So that means 6, 7, even high torque ETM RTR parts from your 72 volt can all go into the Rizzler. And that means all your drivetrain stuff is fully cross compatible to save you some money and provide parts availability for mods right off the rip on release for the Rizzler, which is very uncommon for other E-Moto brands. This bike is ready to modify right off the box. Conclusion time. These bikes are totally different, but they're the same in some of the best possible ways. Which one is for you? Well, if you are a motocross style rider that's gonna be hitting a track every now and again, you're mostly riding off-road and you're into motocross, you're gonna want an ETM RTR Lite or an ETM RTR. Now, if you are a casual rider that is looking to do long distance, group rides, campground, easy portability, then the Rizzler is gonna be for you. It's a much less serious machine, but the fun having is just as high. So go on electroncompany.com, check them out and find out which one's for you. Don't miss out because stock is running out super fast all the time. No, seriously, like go right now.